Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Off the Cuff here on MX24. We have the final word when it comes to sports. And, well, the biggest news in Ghana football is Asamoah Gyan's signing for Legon Cities for the upcoming season. It will be the biggest feature for this edition of the show as well. We'll explore every angle to this. We'll speak to Asamoah Gyan's manager to get more details on the thinking behind this signing and what Asamoah hopes to get out of this. Plus, we'll talk to former players who have played with Asamoah and also people who have made the move to play in the Ghana Premier League after stellar careers in Europe. And then as well, we will come in-house and then take comments. We're also opening the comments up to you and asking what you think that Asamoah signing by Legon Cities will do for the Ghana Premier League. And then we'll go to Europe. Inconsistency is becoming a theme for a lot of big clubs. We will look at the biggest scores from over the weekend. And there's more to talk about in this edition of the show. As usual, you can join us via Twitter, tweet at me, or you can WhatsApp us. The WhatsApp line is 0592 896 Welcome again to Off the Coffee of MX24. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Off the Cuff here on MX24. With me tonight, a man returning after a long while. A man I call my younger brother, Farouk. You're welcome. Farouk Atipaga has been in this industry for a very long time. Yao Bing is always with me every Sunday. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, always nice to be
here.
here.
Yao Bing. So, on Saturday night, the transfer window for the upcoming Ghana Premier League closed. A lot of business was done by the clubs. Well, of course, hoping to get back onto the field after a long break, which was made necessary by the outbreak of COVID-19, which brought football to a halt. And everybody's looking forward to the resumption of the Ghana Premier League. The biggest story at the closure of the transfer window was the signing by of Asamoah Gyan by Legon Cities. And there's no doubt that it's a big deal for Ghana football. Asamoah Gyan is a legend, and nobody will disagree with that. He's the first Ghanaian to score at the World Cup. He's the top Ghanaian scorer for the Black Stars, the senior national team, with 51 goals. He's Africa's top scorer at the World Cup with 6 goals. And for those, well, for which it means anything, he was the first Ghanaian to score at the Wembley Stadium when Ghana played against England in that friendly some years back. So indeed, it is a big deal for any club to acquire him. Tonight, we'll be looking closely into what this actually means for Ghana football, and we'll be talking to a number of people. But first, let me start with my colleagues here. Atipaga, this has been on the burner for a while. Last week, we had Kwame Jumo here, and he refused to comment. He said, no, there's nothing of the sort. There's nothing that he can confirm. But in the early hours of Sunday, he tweeted to confirm that indeed Asamoah Gyan has been signed by Legon Cities. How big a deal is this signing?
I think it's a big deal. I mean, you just mentioned that he's Ghana's top scorer with 51 goals. He's not quit football entirely. It's just that he's not been playing since January. And so he's still that person whose name is all over the lips of Ghanaians. Ghanaians still remember a lot of the things he's done. The 2010 World Cup, what he did against USA, what he did against Algeria in the 2015 AFCON. He's done a lot of great things, and I'm sure with his clout, a lot of people will be expecting that he impacts the league positively by attracting, eyeballs and a lot of talkability. I mean, you can't take that away from him. He's that kind of person who can generate a lot of interest with regard to our league. I think the interest started building up when there were rumors that he was going to join Asante Kotoko. Yeah. That would have been a big one because he has mentioned it personally that he would love to play for Kotoko before he quits football. And I'm sure joining Kotoko would have been a beautiful narrative for his book one day when he finally hangs his boots. I don't know if it's going to happen sometime, but I mean, for now, he needs to get active. And I'm sure he was looking out for a club that could meet his financial demands. And once Legon City came, calling, and they could do that, I mean, why not? He will just try it. I mean, I understand it's a one-year deal. Yeah. He will give it a shot to see how it goes, whether he could still get a chance to move out of the country to play or to continue to play in the domestic league by moving out of Legon Cities to join his dream club Asante Kotoko sometime to come.
Kotoko remains Asamoah Gyan's dream club. It also comes at a good time. He's making the headlines for the right reason because just a couple of weeks back. He was in the news for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So this is a good comeback in
yeah.
terms of, you know, being out in the public space.
Yes, it's refreshing. I mean, as you said, I mean, Asamoah Gyan is a big deal in Ghana. No matter what you say, he's one of our topmost players.
He could go down as our
and
greatest
in
ever.
any history would be when we are mentioning our top 10, top 5 Ghanaian players to ever play the game. His name will be in the question, what he's done for the national team. But in terms of the league, I mean, this is a big deal for me, both in the sporting sense and in the marketing sense, because it brings a lot of limelight to the league. I mean, I was on Twitter and I saw most of these African Twitter handles tweeting about Asamoah's return. Even the BBC were tweeting. I was like, wow, this is going to bring some focus on the Ghana Premier League. So I was happy about that.
But this focus is not automatic. Must he play for, you know, that publicity to be harnessed by the league?
Well, not necessarily.
Because we don't know yet whether he's match fit and when the league.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are doubts of about his fitness and stuff. But once he's in the league, it's a big. I mean, you know, there's a reason. If I'll just juxtapose that to La Liga, they were hell bent on not letting Messi go because of the value they would have lost if Messi had left La Liga. That's the same thing with whether he's playing or not. It's the marketing. Now there's going to be focus on the Ghana Premier League. Hopefully we'll even get a sponsor once Asamoah is in. But there's going to be focus on it. Sporting-wise, I mean, we don't know his injuries. But if we get that Asamoah who scored 10 goals in 16 matches for Liberty Professionals, Legon City would have put a blinder there.
If I could put the same question to you, must he play for us to harness the full benefits? Because we don't know about his fitness level yet. Are we expecting that Asamoah will turn up and start banging in goals for Legon Cities?
I mean, if he plays, it's a big plus. I mean, that's what everybody's expecting. I don't think people would want him to sign and be on the bench because of fitness issues. He certainly must be wearing the jersey and playing week in and week out. That's what people want to be seen on the screens or even going to the stadium to watch him. And so I think that is a big deal. And I'm sure he himself understands that he needs to be fit. I understand he's been training, you know, a lot in the past week, trying as much as possible to get in shape to be able to join the team next week. So they go into their final preparations for the league. And so, I mean, for us, the most important thing is that Asamoah Gyan must be playing. And if he gets to score, or if he starts scoring, that's even bigger, looking at the other side. Like he said, I've seen a lot of the international media throwing spotlight on Asamoah Gyan. You can imagine when he starts scoring, they're sending their reporters to come doing features on him week in and week out. That's a big milestone for the Ghana Premier League. And I think for him to play and score are things that we should be looking out for, praying for, so that it could add that extra value that we are looking at.
Remember, beyond everything, Legon Cities are fighting relegation. So
well, that was the last time. This time they
So pretty much they are not a club you would expect to finish in the top 5. But does this change the narrative for them?
Well, it does a bit, because
it's not just him, but they've made pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I saw they've signed
Matthew
Kujo, they've signed Baba Mahama, who I was wondering what happened to him when he went to Kotoko, because he was a fantastic player for Teshima City.
Seems like it was too much of an upgrade for
Probably,
him.
maybe, you know, the big club, it's not everybody who can shine in a big club. So, yeah. But they've done some good purchases. It's up to how they'll blend them. And, I mean, Asamoah being in the team, if for nothing at all, it's inspiration. He gets to talk to the young boys, motivate them, show them the way. It's good. You need some leadership in your dressing room, and I believe Asamoah is going to bring that leadership. As to whether it will be enough to keep them in the league is another matter. But they have the purchasing power to correct those wrongs when it gets to the mid-season.
I've been speaking to Asamoah Gyan's manager, Enimado, and he thinks quite prophetically that this will open the door for other players who play to the highest level to come back to the league. Remember, I think not since Neodati Lamte have we had a player who, in many terms, can be considered as top level at the tail end of his career coming back to the league. Do you think that's what's likely to happen? Will this open the floodgates, or it's just a one-off? Because after Odate, it's taking, another 15 years for this to happen?
I think this is by far the biggest. It should be heavier than Odate's situation, because Odate at the time had gone off for a long time, you know. But with Asamoah Gyan's situation, everything about him is still fresh on the minds of Ghanaians. I mean,
He's still general captain.
Yes, and he was just the main captain a few years ago. So clearly, this is big. I mean, if there is any other player out there looking out to also come back to Ghana to play before he finally hangs his boot, I'm sure this is going to open the way for them. And so, I mean, the angles to which this story opens doors for Ghana are many, and this is one of them. I mean, the fact that others will look at it and say, okay, let me also come back to Ghana. Someone has done it. Provided I'll get a club that could meet my demands halfway, why not? I'll just try it and see how it goes.
We've seen people come, but, you know, not the top level guys. Some come and sit around. They don't play. They don't have contracts. Do you think they may be tempted to do that now, especially a few who may not completely be off the road and maybe hanging around now, perhaps be tempted to want to sign for one club or the other to play with them?
The temptation has always been there, but I think that the major stumbling block has been financial. Most often than not, when you are enjoying a certain level of salary and you have to downgrade a lot to play in the Ghana Premier League, it takes a lot of effort. Yeah. And that's the reason. That's the major reason why most of them, they'll prefer to go to India or go to Mongolia or wherever and get some foreign currency than come to the Ghana Premier League. But, I mean, it's good. You see, when you watch other countries, most of them go back to go and retire. We need players like that to come back. I mean, players who've been in Europe for so long, just come back. It's more like community service. Come and help promote the local league. Don't think about the money. If we get players to forget the financial side and see it more as a goodwill gesture, I mean, we might get a lot more coming in.
There are rumors that Legon Cities are paying over $1 million USD. We're hoping they would confirm that.
I heard that in relation to the 4-year contract. But now I'm hearing it's a 1 year.
It's a 1 year contract.
So I don't know if the 1 million will still stand. I heard his manager yesterday on TV, and he's saying it's in excess of 1 million, but it's divided into cash and kind. As we sit here, we don't know what percentage is going into kind and what percentage is going to cash. And you don't even know what kind of kind it is, because it's very rare to hear about kind in football. So,
but I mean, so there's money involved.
I think it's just hype. Look. What's the average salary of a Legon City player? To think that you would bring one player and pay him $1 million, and you are paying the others.
You don't think that's possible?
I mean,
maybe they've done their math.
No, you see, look,
they've done their math. They know how many shirts they will sell.
No, let's call it real. It's all marketing. There's no $1 million anywhere. We need to call a spade a spade. It's a market. Because if you start talking about cash and kind, I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing something about kind in football. I mean, what is that? So, you hear, so maybe
you hear add-ons.
Yeah, I hear add-ons and this thing, but kind. Let's be serious.
It all depends.
Legon cities have good financial backing, so yes, they are rich, but they will not go and splash at 1 million. I mean, let's be real here.
Okay. We'll come back to Asamoah, but are there any particular transfers that caught your eye when the window finally closed at the end of Saturday?
Well, I see a lot of the old names still
recycled.
Yeah.
Recycled.
Alex Asamoah, Nathaniel Asamoah, Edward Bodo, Stephen Safo, Kofi Owusu, you know. So some have gone out and they are back. Others too were off and they are trying to revive their career. I mean, it's all good for the league. I mean, if once these guys can come and perform, and also direct the younger ones in a positive way, I'm sure it will add a lot of value to the league. For the first time, we've seen the interest at this very top level. I mean, social media was awash with a lot of build-up about the transfer and when it was getting to the tail end of the market. So clearly, it seems people have been staffed for a long time after the COVID led to the boycott of the previous league season. And so a lot of the clubs were also, you know, getting very close to the relegation zone. They tasted it, they've seen how real it is, and so they are trying as much as possible to, you know, get players that will make them stronger so they don't visit that zone again. So we see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. House of Folk, Kotoko, before us, they've gotten a Brazilian, and everyone is talking about him. Well, the last time they brought in 2 Brazilians, we know how it ended, and so we are trying as much as possible to
figure there, done that.
to figure out how Gamma will end. House of Folk also have had a lot of drama here and there. I mean, signing a technical director and getting him off.
Who is apparently already left?
Yeah, so.
On the last day, Kotoko tried to sign Justice Blay and it didn't work out.
I mean, Blay has been on their books, and I know Mediama put a figure down, and Kotoko were willing to meet it, and that's the reason why they couldn't sign. Kotoko was too much to buy a local player.
Well, let's return to the subject of Asamoah Gyan. Early on this afternoon, I caught up with Inimado, who is Asamoah Gyan's manager, and asked for some clarifications on the deal with Legon Cities.
Well, first of all, I'm honored and I'm very proud that I was able to talk to Gyan and the family for them to accept that we let him play in Ghana. First of all, it's going to help boost our economy, help boost the game, sell our game to the international community. As we speak, BBC has published it. Other media, international channels have contacted me. They want to come on, talk to me about it and talk to Gyan, and let's see how they can also talk about it. And that one alone is $1 million thing for Ghana. For your league to be hyped, to be talked about in this international channels, we all know the value of it. And they'll be showing it on their cable networks and all that. So it's key and it's very important for Ghana football. He will bring the light to Ghana football. He will bring the shine to Ghana football. And at the same time, he's going to impact on the players. You can imagine a player who's been idolizing Asamoah Gyan for all these years. And I can tell you about 99% of these boys idolize him. And they are all going to now play with him on the same pitch. So you can imagine, and some of them, those who also play with him in the same team, they'll be motivated and they'll bring out the best in them. And don't be surprised to see high quality game in Ghana because of Asamoah Gyan joining them. It wasn't difficult because he's somebody who likes to do things that nobody expects him to do. He changes the game. He's a game changer. He's somebody who does things that people say, why will he do it? You remember when he was going to Dubai, when he was going to China and all that. And wherever he goes, he brings a shine to the game. And I know as he's taking this decision, there's one thing about him. He's challenged himself, and we know he's not coming to just play. He's going to make an impact. So Gyan has already said that he's feeling very young and strong in his body. And when I met Mariana told me even if he wants to play football for 10 years, he can play. It's up to him. And a lot of legends are doing with Zlatan and the other striker, I forgot, in Italy, who was leading a group last season or so, 40-something years. And you have a lot of Ryan Giggs. And so because he's motivated himself, expect him to play more. Not resurrecting the career. It's about where he is now. COVID has come. Countries are not safe. He is now supposed to go to a new environment, and he's in Ghana. Oh, you are in Ghana. Put a shine on your league. Play again. Then later you can still go back if you want to. Legon Cities also has given a flexible deal, and this deal will bring other things. That's why he said that he's going to help Ghana football. He's signing for Legon Cities. It's not only about the football, but the football will show, and then it will help Ghana football in so many ways because there's a package that makes the contract roll over if he wants to stay. So anything can happen, and Asamoah Gyan does that. It's a 1-year agreement now that can roll over 2, 3, 4, depending on how the two parties want it to.
Well, I did ask him what will happen if anybody shows interest, if he hits the ground running and starts scoring goals. And
well, I think from what he's saying, it looks like there's an exit clause there.
It's a flexible contract.
It's a flexible contract. So at least it's a win-win situation. I mean, someone gets the platform to build himself back again. Legon Cities also gets a quality player who could help them in their progress to avoid relegation and move forward in the league. So,
what's your thinking about this? Is it going to work out?
Hopefully, it should work out. He shouldn't be as sharp as he used to be a few years ago, but his movement, his awareness in front of goal, his positioning, his area ability, and all those things will still be there. Once they put him through in a goal-scoring opportunity, trust me, he will bring all those experience to bear.
Well, maybe the boys will be as hard on him as they are on anybody else in the league.
That's exciting. It's exciting to get him back.
Let me just say that we tried to get a view from the Premier League, the Ghana Premier League, and we got in touch with them this afternoon to try to get their take on what this means for the league and what the strategy will be for building the brand around Asamoah Gyan and projecting it as is everybody's expectation. And Mr. Jesse Ejapon, who is the vice chair, was unwilling to speak to us, asking us to do the appropriate thing by having called him yesterday. So, Mr. Ejapon, if you are watching or anybody else is watching, this news broke at dawn today. How would you expect us to have booked you to speak specifically about this without the deal having been confirmed? I can understand that the ideal thing will be to give you enough time to prepare for an interview, but I don't think that position taken takes into consideration or takes enough appreciation of the circumstances under which we called, given that the news broke today. And I think when it comes to people like you speaking to media or speaking to programs, you need to exercise a bit of flexibility when it comes to that. Understandably, if it's not convenient for you, that's a different matter. But for you to turn this down precisely because you do not think that we gave you 24 hours notice when the news broke barely 12 hours ago, for me, it's intellectually mischievous. And I'm calling you out openly to say that. You can decide whether or not you don't want to speak to this platform or anything. But I don't think such glorified pomposity and blinkered outlook would help the league, because your duty is to what? Publicize the league. And my understanding is that you were brought on board to achieve this very purpose. And so if you would take this very tight-bottom approach to dealing with the media, I don't think it's in the best interest of the country, and I expect better from you. Well, with that, I'll take a break. We'll be back shortly. This is Off the Cuff here on MX24. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Off the Cuff here on MX24. In the past half hour, we've been discussing Asamoah Gyan. It's a big move. The signing by Legon Cities. Let's just hope that all the expectations around the boost to the Ghana Premier League brand and the benefits that will accrue to the league turn out to be true. Let's take a flight to Europe now, and there was a lot happening over the weekend. We'll start with the English Premier League, and as we speak now, Tottenham Hotspurs are supposed to be leading Brighton by a goal to nil. The spinner Nicolai Zayao. Has that been confirmed?
Well, they've gone to VAR, so we are all waiting.
We'll wait for a few seconds.
Now, it makes football a bit funny because you celebrate, whether to celebrate or not, there's a little bit of an anticlimax. But Brighton are putting a good shift against Tottenham.
So let's look at the game that was played just before this particular one, and that's Manchester United against Arsenal. Manchester United have just lost to Arsenal for the first time in 14 years. Did you see this coming?
I think so. I think Arsenal went in like a more prepared team. You look at their last two matches. They lost against City and Leicester, and so, I mean, getting 0/9 would have been a big deal. I mean, in this competition, if you start losing a lot of points, you might end up chasing, teams from, a very far position. And so, for me, I thought that for Arsenal, they're really bent on not losing this particular match against Manchester United. United themselves have been very inconsistent. I mean, forget about the Champions League where they've won back-to-back at the group stage. But in terms of the league itself, if you check the number of points they've amassed, out of 6-7 matches, I think they have how many points?
6 matches,
7 points.
7 points.
Which means on the average, they are drawing each match.
Yeah.
So,
but he came into this game having polished off RB Leipzig in the Champions League in what was described as perhaps their best performance to date this season.
So, I mean, they keep on blowing hot and cold, and so you can't really place your bet on Manchester United. In the league, if you check the statistics, it's been very poor. The Champions League has had a different story altogether, and so if you want to combine the two, you might want to look at them from a position where they'll be favourites. But if you squeeze it into the league, you'd realize that Arsenal came in like a more prepared team. I mean, they had a midfield work plan that worked for them perfectly. They dominated the midfield for a greater part of the game. They created a lot of chances. Partey was very instrumental. I mean, he was basically the engine for them, breaking attacks, initiating attacks, involved in what could possibly have been pre-assist or assist. I mean, he did everything like an engine for the team, and that worked a lot for Arsenal. I'm not surprised they scored. I mean, Aubameyang's flat performance in terms of goal up front has affected them. I mean, he's not scored in 5 matches prior to this.
He really needed that goal.
Yeah, so he really needed. So once he scored and they got a 3-point, you realize that yes, this is what they needed to pick themselves up.
I saw former English players who were pundits on TV paying glowing tributes to Partey because of his performance, and for some reason they found it strange that he has such offensive qualities. So they're saying, he's such an all-round midfielder. It looks like they just thought that they were buying a destroyer.
All throughout summer, I was wondering why Arsenal was the only team that had a clear run on Partey. I expected a lot more teams to have, because he improves any team in the world. I mean, if you see Partey, he can defend, he can attack, he plays between the lines, he's combative, he recovers well, and he has an eye for goal. So I'm surprised that a lot of teams didn't, but Partey was brilliant today. I mean, if you compare Partey and you compare Paul Pogba, you go like, look, Paul Pogba has, maybe similar physique. Paul Pogba is supposed to be world class, but his problem is inconsistency.
Yeah.
Today you could see it was just,
he doesn't put in the
problem I have with Pogba is that he's lazy. And today the penalty was a lazy man's tackle. the guy was going nowhere. You just needed to keep pace with him, and he decided to tackle. When you listen to him in the interview, he said it was a stupid tackle. He had run out of breath.
So
Lazy.
why kick out?
He's lazy. And that's, if Paul Pogba will apply himself well, he'll be a very good player. But because of his inconsistencies, he's not world class. And I now understand why Mourinho was struggling with him, because, I mean, Jose will not keep any player like that. And Ole has to find a way to, because he needs to bring out the best of him. Otherwise, maybe Real Madrid, Umar, you want to take him?
I'll come back to you on Ole, but Farouk, finally on the subject of Partey, people expected that he would have needed time to transition. This whole hype about, you come to England, the pace of the game. He seems to just adapt it. He seems to have just adapted very quickly.
I mean, after watching this game, that was one of the things that came to mind. I was like, how did he fit into the Arsenal style so easily?
Very quickly.
I mean, without any serious effort, as if he's been playing with the team for a very long time. Then, if you look at that, you want to give a lot of thumbs up to the Arsenal scouts. Yeah. Maybe they did a lot of work, realized that he was the right man for the system they've employed, and so they had to go for him regardless of the amount. And that's how come they did everything possible to get him. You now understand the hype around him from the Arsenal contingent. I mean, he's doing exactly what they paid that good money for. And I like the start. If he's able to continue like this and, keep on performing at this high level, I think his value will triple, and maybe Real Madrid or another team.
One thing I like about Partey, he plays so simply. You see, there's no... It's just simple. Pass, move. Not too much dribbling. Yeah. And it's so simple and it's nice. That's what... And for me, I believe that good players, once you come in, you have to say, I mean, I've looked at some players, and, I mean, we are talking about Manchester United. We saw what Bruno Fernandes did when he came in.
Yeah.
When you are good, you are good. You just have to play. And especially, I'm happy for Partey because of the price tag. Yeah. If he didn't start well, oh my God, our brothers in the English press would have...
He'll probably never have recovered his confidence.
What a waste of money, 50 million down the drain. Now they are talking about him. So I'm happy as a Ghanaian.
One thing the English press are loving about him is about his recovery rate. You realize that a few times that he lost the ball, he quickly went back for the ball. So laziness is out of the equation.
Yeah, Pogba would have stopped running.
He recovered the ball 11 times today. 11 times.
Let's talk about Chelsea. Is the renaissance starting for Lampard now? Are they clicking? That's been the big question. Can they click?
I don't know how to describe Chelsea, because now Lampard seems to have stopped the rot in terms of the conceding of goals. I mean, Mendy has come in. He's looked very well. I mean, that tackle. We're talking about Jordan Pickford the other time. What's the difference with that tackle and Mendy's tackle? Anyways, but on a more serious note, Chelsea, Ziyech has come in. He's playing well.
Scoring.
Very nice. Havertz, the jury is still out on him. But they seem
actually,
to have...
Havertz seems to have a really good understanding with Ziyech.
Yeah, and really Ziyech amazes me. I mean, I was telling somebody that Ziyech is going to be the Bruno Fernandes of this season. He's going to take the league by storm, because he has everything to play in the play. And, he's not going to dribble plenty. He can shoot. He can pass. So Chelsea look good. The only problem I still have is Zuma. I mean, he's scoring goals, but I don't trust him. I mean, Thiago Silva is helping, but Zuma...
Let's talk about Thiago Silva. I've said on this platform before that, for me, he looks like a defensive coach on the football field for Chelsea, because he's brought stability, and he's marshaled the back line to such an extent that players who otherwise would have looked average are looking world class.
I mean, it's not only about the number of years he's played. He's a top quality defender.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's another player that people raise question marks on because of the pace of the English game and then his age.
Yeah, I even raised that. I mean,
you did?
I mean, yeah, but I guess he knows his strength and his weakness, and he'll play to his strength, and I'm sure that's exactly what he's doing. You mentioned there is another thing he's doing, stability at the back by trying to coach them. And if you realize the clean sheets Chelsea have been able to chalk in the past few games, you'd want to give credit to him, and in addition to the goalkeeper they've brought in, Mendy. And so it's working. I mean, so far the pace hasn't been a big deal for him We haven't seen it yet. Maybe Lampard is also finding a system that should be able to, contain that weakness as far as Thiago Silva is concerned. So the defensive stability is key because Chelsea used to leak a lot of goals. Now they are beginning to solve that problem. The midfield balance too is coming. And the attacking prowess, we are seeing it week in and week out in the past few weeks. And so it's getting well for them. I think at this point in time, they have to throw their weight really hard at the title shot. I don't think there will be any more excuses for Lampard this time around. Previously, it was about the signing of players. Now he's got everybody he wants. I mean,
it says a lot about Thiago's mental fortitude that he recovered so quickly from that West Bromwich Albion.
He's a big boy. He's seen it before. He knows that there will be games where you would have, bad games. But you can see there's leadership at the back. And that's the same thing with Van Dijk when Van Dijk came to Liverpool. He brings leadership. So even when you're a bad player, you can play with somebody who brings leadership. Because when you are moving too far, he'll call you back. Hey, my friend, don't go too far. Wait. So at least he's coaching them, as you said, and that's bringing a lot more stability for Chelsea.
Well, whilst Chelsea may have started getting clean sheets and Manchester United it's been inconsistent, you can see a thread, which is that the teams that are hoping to catch up with Liverpool, who are the league champions, are not being consistent. Well, Liverpool have had their downsides this season, and I guess the high point was that loss, or the lowest point was that loss against Aston Villa. But they seem to have bounced back and they are grinding out results. This was against an informed West Ham United side who had put many teams to the sword and managed to get a point against Man City.
One thing I like about this Liverpool team is the ability to grind results. They are not playing the swashbuckling way they were playing last season, but there's a certain focus and they know how to win. I mean, a penalty which looked a bit fake, but they still, and they had Arsenal to bring on. They brought Diogo Jota, they brought Shaqiri, and the two of them combined to score the goal. So at least there's that willingness, and they even played that young chap, Philip, his first game, and he was excellent. So I think Klopp has put in that never say die, that winning mentality into them, where they believe that until the final whistle is that they can win any game. And
well, this was Diogo Jota's first goal, which was disallowed by Kevin Friend, but he came back and he scored.
So sublime.
Look at this build-up. Nobody picked him, and he put it in there. He just can't stop scoring. Farouk, people thought that beyond the front three of Liverpool, they were always going to struggle to find people who would consistently score goals. But this has been one of the buys of the season, Diogo Jota.
Well, even before Jota came, they had a backup who would always do it for them anytime they struggled. And so,
who the Malam?
So, the highlight of their front three is the fact that Firmino has been out of shape.
Defensive striker, that's how my friends call it.
The excuses they've made for him. So clearly, Jota is in to cover, that lack of finishing power from Firmino, because anytime he comes, he's able to get them goals. And you just want to give thumbs up to Liverpool for making that particular signing. The other problem is about their defensive, lapses. Yeah. The fact that they've lost quite a number of experienced players there. Luckily, Nat Phillips stepped up. If he's able to perform at that same level, it will be good for them. They are lucky to have their goalkeeper back, because in his absence, they lead a lot of goals. They gave a lot of Christmas presents even before December. So I think that now Klopp's biggest headache will be the absence of Van Dijk. Yeah. Yes, that will be his biggest problem. But once he's able to find a way around it, I'm sure they'll be good to go. What is going to happen with Liverpool is that they are not going to stroll like they did last season. It's not going to happen. They are going to have tough opposition, and they will need to be grinding results week in and week out like they've been doing.
Already, they've dropped quite a number of points already. Well, they are not the only team which has designs on the title that is grinding results. Man City, quite uncharacteristically, are not scoring a lot of goals. And Guardiola is concerned. He says his team is not scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah, so, partly because of the injury situation up front. You realize that anytime they don't have a focal point in attack, they struggle. Aguero comes in, plays a bit, they start scoring a few goals, then he gets injured. Jesus should be back in 2 weeks. And if they can get them back on in the team, it will help them, because Sterling is good, but, the false number 9, whether it's Sterling or Mahrez, it changes the way they play, because they now have to work the ball through to and it's difficult, especially for teams that are defending low block.
It seems a real revelation has been the emergence of Ferran Torres. You know, people saw him primarily as a winger.
Yeah.
We saw him midweek against Marseille being shunted into the middle, and we've seen the general, effect he's had on them. In this game, just like the Marseille game, they didn't concede, which is another thing to say because Man City, hardly go on runs without conceding goals.
Well, their concession rate has always been a problem, but the fact of the matter is that for them, if you are scoring them, they also try as much as possible to outscore you. So that has been the case. They rely on their attacking prowess, but like you said, they are missing a focal point. So once they don't have their traditional lethal men up front, it takes a bit of bite out of their
I know it's early yet, but do you think they can wrestle the league title back from Liverpool?
I don't think so. I think they'll finish in the top 4, but I don't think they'll be able to grab that title.
It's very difficult for me to predict this league because everybody is handicapped. The lack of preseason has really worried a lot of teams, and a lot of players are picking muscle injuries and stuff. So this season is strange, and anybody who can put up a consistent run would win the league. So I'm waiting to see up to January to really see where the men will be separated for the boys. Now it's very difficult to call.
And the death of people's squad will come to the
Yes, because injuries, you're going to have a lot of injuries coming in.
Perhaps City are having theirs now, but we don't know when people will start properly being ravaged with the injuries. Chelsea has quite an abundance of riches, so perhaps they won't worry as much when it comes to that. We'll go to La Liga in just a moment. Let me see. Brighton versus Tottenham, 1-1. That Lamptey goal on 56th minute was upheld. So Tariq Lamptey scoring. Ghana should step up the chase.
But I've seen people talk about...
It's 2-1 now.
It says 2-1.
Tottenham, yeah. I've seen people talk about Tariq Lamptey, but I think England are going to call him up. Because the way he's playing, I very much doubt that Southgate would...
So Gareth Bale has scored his first goal since returning to England.
The curse is broken.
Big deal.
And he got the assist from Sergio Reguilon, the guy he came from Real Madrid with.
Yeah. He's also found his feet.
Yeah.
So let's go to Real Madrid since you broached the subject of Real Madrid. And I wish I had been with Farouk during the El Clasico because, it's always a holiday in this house when Real Madrid wins. Big deal for them. They beat Barcelona. They followed it up with a win over Huesca over the weekend. Whilst on the other what's happening? Why are you struggling in the Champions League and winning in the league?
I think the defensive vulnerabilities. In the absence of Carvajal, there's no natural right back. Vasquez has been tried. There are times that they'll throw in Mendy. He tried that over the weekend. When Mendy came, it was disastrous. That was where the goal even came from. And so clearly, Real Madrid didn't have a plan as far as the defensive backups were concerned. I understand because of COVID, there were revenue issues, so they had to sell players. I mean, if you have this player is sold to Inter Milan from Dortmund. Haki. I mean, fantastic player who could have been brought in to help, but because of the revenues, that were short due to the COVID pandemic, they had to sell a few good players, including Reguilon, who has been sent to Tottenham Hotspur. So clearly, we are suffering as a result of that. I mean, and anytime Sergio Ramos is out of that defensive setup, I mean, it looks like an ordinary team. Any team can just run through and do whatever they want to do. So that's Zidane's problem. The problem has to do with defense. And if he doesn't fix it, I'm not sure he'll be able to perform in the Champions League. Maybe he will find his way in the La Liga some way, somehow. But once he's not able to finish in the top 2 in the Champions League to qualify, I'm sure he will know that his relationship with Real Madrid
came from behind to
close.
snatch a draw against Mönchengladbach. Had no problems really against Huesca. On the other side, Barcelona came into the weekend on a high because they managed to beat Juventus. Although the Messi Ronaldo matchup didn't happen, they were quite impressive against Juventus.
They outplayed Juventus.
And then they are brought down to earth by Alaves.
And I think that...
for 30 minutes towards the end of the game, Alaves played with 10 men.
And Koeman, well, he's a dead man walking already, so maybe...
Well, this is a moment Neto would want to forget about forever. Ball got caught between his legs. He couldn't sort out his feet quickly enough. Ball was taken away from him. And this was the goal that robbed Barcelona of the extra point, despite Griezmann scoring for them.
Well, I think, but you expect Barca to win such games, and they didn't play well. They started with a front four: Dembele, Ansu Fati, Messi, Griezmann. But still, I think the issue with Barca is trying to get a balance, and he's now afraid to play Busquets because he thinks Busquets is a weak link, and it's taking a little bit away from them because Pjanic is not playing to that level where Busquets would have played. So, and their backline, Lenglet, Piqué, they are also very slow now. Koeman really has a lot to do on this team.
With Barcelona's financial problems, you wonder whether they would have a lot of money to be able to do signings to cover up their lapses.
It shows in the transfer window and what they managed to do. But somehow it looks like the 17-year-olds are still holding them up.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as it is, These are not the sort of players that you would say would carry Barca, but they are relying on them. On the other hand, we see Piqué, and after the El Clasico, I said it, it's a bit frustrating to watch people like Piqué and Busquets, having seen the heights of their powers.
Their career, the problem with Barca was a lack of planning. They didn't really have a succession plan. Bartomeu was a hopeless leader because he's left the team in a bad financial state, and even the club is in a bad financial, and the team itself is full of 32, 33-year-olds.
But they spent quite a lot of money on centre-backs.
Yeah, so they didn't, well, it's not even just the centre-backs, it's just they didn't buy well. It was like, who's available? So when Neymar left, okay, Dembele is available, let me go and buy him.
Remember Yermina was a Barca centre-back.
Iniesta is going, Coutinho, without necessarily looking at how, as we were talking about Partey, how they will fit into the team. And you buy players and you're playing them out of position. You buy Frankie de Jong, you're playing him out of position.
Yeah.
He's supposed to hold, you don't want to use him. You're buying Griezmann, you're playing him as a winger. And their coaches have also been terrible. So it's a mixed bag of things.
Messi is also not scoring.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, he's dropping deeper.
Yeah.
I mean, we always expected that as he grew older and, his pace slowed down, the energy levels, he would draw deeper and come and pick up the ball and try to give it out. Well, one thing I can tell you is that Farouk Atepaga will have no pity whatsoever for Barcelona as an avid Real Madrid fan. I'm going for my final break. When we come back, we'll wrap up here on Off the Cuff on MX24. Stay tuned. We are wrapping up. Let's go back to Spain. Atletico Madrid got their third successive win when they played against Osasuna. The big question people are asking is, should Atletico Madrid be considered as real title challengers this season?
Well, no, they have firepower. I mean, if you look at what Suarez is bringing to the team, João Felix now has a season behind him. He's getting used to the league and he's getting better. And Simone is gradually also moving from the ultra defensive play that he normally goes to playing a little bit more exciting. So they should be considered. I mean, especially as Real Madrid and Barca are not really lighting up the league.
And Farouk, every season people ask the same question. Is this where it all falls apart for Atletico and then Cholo leaves the team to go somewhere else and then, the dynasty he created just vanishes and then he reinvents the team? It's crazy what he's done over the last few years.
He's done an incredible job for Atletico Madrid, not only domestically. I mean, he's not won the Champions League, though, but he's taking them to a really high standard as far as that competition is concerned. Like I've said, I guess this is the time that they should be eyeing the La Liga again. I mean, looking at what Real Madrid and Barca are doing, they are notches lower than their usual standard, and so this should be the time where Atletico should be winning matches to open the gap. But let's see how it goes. Sometimes they really look like they're in the position to do so. Then when they end up playing against Barca and Real Madrid, they drop points and make it so loose for other teams to take advantage of it.
So that's Atletico Madrid beating Osasuna over the weekend. Just Champions League fixtures come thick and fast, particularly because, they had already lost a lot of time. So let's see some of the big fixtures coming up. On Tuesday, the 3rd of November, there are big matches. Atletico Madrid, whom we were talking about just a few seconds ago, play against Lokomotiv Moscow. RB Salzburg will play against Bayern Munich. There's Real Madrid against Inter in Group B, which is one of the big games.
Big one. I mean, for Real, they have to win this match to stand in a position of qualifying from the group stage. I mean, after losing one and drawing the other, they have no other, excuse other than
Yeah.
winning this particular game. It will be tough. They are playing against
Inter
a
in
coach who is very average in the Champions League. Conte has terrible records in this
And they're not
competition.
even playing well in their
And they are
league.
not. They are not playing well,
Yeah.
in their league.
Without
So-
Lukaku, it's terrible.
So
When they don't have-
Real should be able to take advantage.
The only
of
problem
this.
is you can't trust Real Madrid
That's the
these
point.
days.
That's
So
the
we don't
point.
know what will happen. Look, when you go to Group D, there's Atalanta versus Liverpool, which
That's the
excites
game-
me.
That's the game I want
Which
to watch.
excites me. I'm expecting free-flowing
Because
football.
Atalanta, I mean, they started off well, but in the past few weeks, they've gone a little bit off the ball. But you know one thing to expect from Atalanta, there will be goals. Whether it's against them or for them, there will always be goals in their games.
On Tuesday in Group H, Manchester United will go to Istanbul, Başakşehir.
Yeah, the
They've won
whipping
2
boys-
games.
The whipping boys of the group, you expect that Manchester United will. Yeah.
9/9 for Manchester
Yeah.
United. In
Yeah,
a
you
group
expect
that people predicted was going to cause problems for them because of RB Leipzig and then PSG.
I
They seem
think
to be
Manchester
running away
United will
with
qualify. At least they'll get the 12 points to qualify, and then if they don't improve, you see them getting kicked out in the next round.
it. Chelsea will be at home against Rennes.
Yeah, that should be a cool job. for
Somebody's
Chelsea.
facing his former club.
Oh, yes, I mean the goalkeeper. But you should expect Chelsea to see this over the line. I'll be very surprised if any other score apart from a Chelsea win.
Well, it's Barcelona against Dynamo Kiev, and then it's RB Leipzig against Paris Saint-Germain. This is
That
for
should
the
be a
right
good game.
to follow us,
Yeah,
to
it's a
follow
good
Man
game.
United. It'll be a big game.
No Neymar, but yeah. there's
So
Mbappe.
all those games are coming up this week. Look out for them when we come back next week. We'll have a bite at those and all the biggest stories in the world of sports. This is MX24. You've been watching Off the Cuff. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Have a blessed week. Take care.
Hey, but don't you know say this be us easy? If you play with the ball, hey, you dreaming, I did. I can't I did. Yeah, you make sense for no reason. I did. Don't you know say this be us easy? If you play with the ball, hey, you dreaming, go.